Hey everybody, what's up? Boots of Greenwood here. We are talking about the Kybalion. Hope you guys have all had a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. 2020 is going to be a great year. I'm really excited about it, and I hope you all are too. We've gone through several of these concepts, and now we're up to the principle of rhythm. And this one's going to be maybe a little bit, I would say, hard to spell, I always have a hard time spelling rhythm, but also this one's going to seem a little bit more, familiar to some of you, because the principle of rhythm talks a lot about everything has its ebb and flow. Everything has its back and forth. It sways, it goes this way, it goes that way, right? And so we're already seeing these principles reflected in each other, right? We have this side and that side, right? Well, that's not. There we go. This side and that side, right? It's swinging this way, it's swinging that way. Rhythm, right? Just like the moon has these cycles, it's always going in rhythm, right? The earth is circling around the sun in rhythm. 365 days every single year, 7 days in a week. Everything has rhythm. It's a pattern, it's repeatable. It's also a pendulum. Everything is swinging back and forth, back and forth. And they even use the word pendulum in the book. So nothing new there, but talking about everything having its reaction to each action. So just like Einstein said, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. That's what this principle is all about. And it affects every single part of our lives. Rhythm. Everything swings, everything has its rhythm, and it's the direct same amount. So as much as it swings this way, it's going to swing back this way, right? We know that it's measurable and it's predictable. So over and over and over again, these cycles are happening. So this includes astrological cycles, like I said, the ocean, the moon, winter, spring, summer, fall, always going around and around and around. So what does this mean to us? I think really what it means is, again, we need to elevate our perspective and see this for what it is. Because if we're in the little me, or the participant's shoes, right? Let's see, the little me, and then there's the big I. We'll just make it an actual I. I think that's kind of cool. The big I and the little me. So the little me is going to go through life on this sort of squiggly line, right? Oh, it's summer, it's winter, it's hot, it's cold, I'm tired, I'm hungry, all of that kind of stuff. But if we can maintain a perspective like this, just be above, looking down, noticing this pattern, these waves, these energies, these vibrations that are in rhythm, that are constantly going up and down and back and forth over and over, we start to see a pattern. And at that point, we become less the affected, sheep, lamb, cattle, whatever you want to call it, that's just like constantly reacting, like a shellfish or whatever, this binary thinking, which is the little me, this emotional human thing that's beautiful, really, but it just doesn't have the perspective. This part of us is the experiencer, and this part of us is the observer. So we want to experience. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. These two things are connected. They're all part of the same thing. So we want to be able to experience stuff and enjoy it. And in fact, you can flip-flop back and forth. If you're playing a game outside or a card game and you want to give in and you want to have that emotional reaction, then you can do that and you can have fun with it, right? As long as you can go back and forth between the observer perspective. Because this is the stuff that's going to ruin you here, right? If you live here too much, what's going to happen to you? You're going to catch wind of something negative, right? When something quote unquote negative happens, this down arrow here, you're going to be like, You're going to go into that. You're going to allow it to basically capture you and take your emotions with it. And then you'll be in an induced transition, right? Now, if you have the observer perspective, then you can see that this is just part of the trip, man. You know, it goes in waves like this. Up and down, back and forth, back and forth. Even things like politics and all this kind of stuff. If you start looking backwards, I think you'll start to see some interesting patterns about these types of things. So the more we can elevate our perspective and be that observer, the more this principle of rhythm, it just doesn't affect us as much. We allow it to be exactly as it is. Like right now, man, I'll be honest, not a big fan of winter. I don't like the cold. I really don't. It's part of the reason why I live in Georgia, although it does get kind of cold here. Well, I could let that bother me. And in a natural way, like my rhythm does start to slow in the wintertime. But I've been fortunate enough that now I've been offered jobs in January and February, that are in the Caribbean. So I'll be where it's warm, very nice, for those times, so I'll be able to enjoy that. And that's another thing too. Let's use our power of the observer to notice these patterns and say, what do I like? What do I not like? What do I want to avoid? You know, not by cringing and cowering, but by saying, how can I put myself in a position to have more of what I want so that I'm less affected by this, you know? Because truly in the winter is very stagnant, you know, the sap is not flowing, the leaves aren't on the trees. And, you know, in years past, especially when I lived in even colder places, I used to live in Montana, West Virginia, you know, like you just get so bottled up and cabin fever and cooped up. You know, how can you effectively navigate that? What can you do? Are there certain activities that are more, I don't know, like appropriate? Oh yeah, using that vocabulary. For you in those times, like could you stay at home and knit sweaters, you know, like that's a nice one, or read books during those times where you're probably not going to have as much time to be outside. So just little things like that. Like I said, I'm very fortunate. I get to go and work on cruise ships for the months of most of January and February. So that'll be neat. And then, you know, I'll go out to LA in March and then come back. And then I'll be back here in March and it'll be springtime and it'll be really pretty. And that energy, the rhythm of the season change will give me energy at that point. So I'll have energy while I'm in the Caribbean because there's just more sun, and that'll make me it'll make me more motivated to move around, and to do things, and to be active. And, you know, if you like cold, there's nothing wrong with that either. You know, maybe you find a way to go somewhere that's cold, like South America in the summertime, and go down there and ski. I think that would be really cool, to go to like Argentina or something in the summer and then ski where it's cold and everybody else is hot, you know. But the older I get, the more I just like don't like the cold. You know, I could find myself being like one of those dudes in Florida, and I'm like 20 or 30 years. Just like, I'm not like my uncle. He's like, I'm not even going up to Georgia. You know, he won't even come up here because it's so cold. To him, it's like 50 degrees or something. But the principle of rhythm, very straightforward. Look, it's a pattern, you know. Everything's moving, but as much as it's moving this way, it's also moving this way. Everything compensates. Everything balances out. Everything, the push this way is equal to the push that way. So, you know, these are pendulums. These are these swinging energies, these swinging vibrations, these swinging frequencies that can capture our attention. And then we could become, you know, basically like captured by it, right? Like almost taken hostage by a frequency. You know, all of a sudden we're at its whim. So what we want to do is just maintain perspective of the observer and the experiencer, see ourselves from as much of a bird's eye view as possible. And then that way, these swings won't affect us nearly as much. It'll be like, oh, well, I see that for what it is. It's a swing, and it's going to swing back. And so this is only temporary. Everything, in fact, is only temporary. So understanding that and seeing the rhythm happen means that you can navigate it in a fun, cool way that might actually be really fun and beneficial to you. Now you can put yourself in a position to win, right? When the thing goes up or down, you can compensate for that yourself and elevate your perspective, and then put yourself in a better spot so that those pendulums, those swinging energies, those season changes, those rhythms, those patterns just don't affect you as much. And so that's the idea of rhythm. Again, happy 2020, everybody. This is going to be a great year. I'm really excited. And I want to thank you all for watching these videos. I've got tons of podcasts coming out. We're going to Podcast-adelphia. So be ready for that. I've got a lot of cool content like that that's going to be coming out, and I'm really excited to share it. I appreciate each and every one of you for being a subscriber. Please go to gumroad.com/BootsyGreenwood if you want some free stuff. I put as many things as I could up there for free. And so please, snag some of that stuff. There's some paid stuff on there as well. So I think the value is more, and or Gumroad wouldn't let me give it away for free because it was too big of a file or something. But anyway, there's hats and meditations and books on tape and all that kind of stuff on there. And then if you want to support me on Patreon, I'll give you early access to podcasts and interviews that don't exist anywhere else and things like that on the patreon.com/BootsyGreenwood. Guys, thank you so much. I am so fortunate and blessed to be a part of this community, and I really appreciate all the love and comments and all the support from you all. So everybody, thanks again, and we will see y'all soon. Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, much love.